effect, I'm Tyler Mann. 1985 was a great year for movies. Back to the Future, The Breakfast Club, Rambo, The Goonies, Back to the Future! But I'm gonna talk about the one movie that was based on a board game and did relatively well. I mean, it didn't make its money back, but it got a huge cult following. This is Clue! Now, I know what you're thinking. How did Hollywood take a board game about a murder mystery, a whodunit, and turn it into a film script? Oh, I don't know, maybe because that board game already had a story to it. I mean, it's not like making Patrick Stewart the Monopoly Man. A late night party ends badly when a hilariously named Mr. Body gets murdered by one of the 6 partygoers in a particular room with a particular weapon, and it's up to the players to figure out who through a reasonable deduction.
Elementary, my dear Betsy.
How is that not already a movie? Is what people in 1985 what we're saying. Regardless, let's take a look at some good old-fashioned violence and murder in Paramount Pictures' Clue. Our story opens on a creepy old mansion and Tim Curry, who plays Wadsworth the butler, entering it. Oh, you probably don't know Tim Curry. You may recognize him less in a suit like this movie and more like this. My God, that was a long time ago. As his character introduces us to the sexily dressed Yvette, the maid, and the not-so-sexy dressed cook.
Is everything ready?
Oui, monsieur.
You have your instructions.
You have your boobs instructions? Well, that wasn't awkward. One by one, the characters from the game begin to appear and join the party, including Colonel Mustard, Miss Scarlet, Miss White, Miss Peacock, Mr. Green, and Professor Plum. As these characters are introduced to each other, we find out that they are not exactly what they seem.
But tonight, you may well feel obliged to my employer for the use of an alias.
Wait. So Mrs. Peacock isn't a real name?
And who are you, sir? I'm Wadsworth, sir. The butler.
He fucking did it. He fucking did it. So, sorry. The butler usually does it, right? That's nice. All throughout the film, we're surrounded by all these little subtle joke moments. For example, Wadsworth stepping in dog shit, and then every other character in the movie continuously checking their heels. There's also a ton of really subtle sexual jokes, which actually take a minute to get.
You know what doctors aren't allowed to do with their lady patients?
Yeah.
Well, he did.
But he was found dead at home. His head had been cut off, and so had his, you know.
You lure men to their deaths like a spider with flies.
Flies are where men are most vulnerable.
Right.
Regardless, we get to the dinner table scene where everyone is introduced. I just got that last one. Eventually, we get to the dinner table, where it's revealed that the 7th guest is the comedically named Mr. Body, but that he is not their host. Regardless, the dinner begins, and everybody starts eating and slurping soup very awkwardly. And then to break the tension, the aptly named Mrs. Peacock decides to break the silence by discussing herself and ranting for 30 seconds.
Well,
someone's got to break the ice, and it might as well be me. I mean, I'm used to being a hostess. It's part of my husband's work, and it's always difficult when a group of new friends meet together for the first time to get acquainted. So I'm perfectly prepared to start the ball rolling. I mean, I have absolutely no idea what we're doing here, or what I'm doing here, or what this place is about, but I am determined to enjoy myself, and I'm very intrigued, and oh my, this soup's delicious, isn't it?
I'm not with her. Why is my spoon so big? Shut up, no one's dead yet. As dinner continues, we discover that every party member somehow lives in Washington, D.C. or makes a living off of the government, and the plot thickens. And by the way, those of you following along with your American Comedies bingo card, you can go ahead and mark off politics right there above your free space, which is right next to farting, surrounded by 4 spaces for sex, and 1 for more sex. Eventually, Mr. Body enters the room and wait a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Mr. Body?
Dramatic swelling music, slicked back hair. He's the bad guy. He's totally the bad guy. I'm calling it. He's the bad guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Mr. Body?
I'm the fucking bad guy. Wait a second. Everyone's been introduced. Music swelling up. Racking focus shot. Oh my god, some shit is about to go down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm instructed to explain to you what you all have in common with each other.
But instead, they just all sit around and talk about how they're being blackmailed by someone. By the way, you can mark that off. It's right next to maniacal laughter on your bingo cards. And now we reach my favorite part of the movie, the 20-minute mark! Did you know that if you're watching a movie in theaters, within 20 minutes of the movie starting, you're allowed to leave the theater if you're not enjoying the movie and get your money back? But why would you? I mean, you should be invested in the characters by 20 minutes in, and you should know where the story started and where the plot turn is going to happen that draws you into the movie. So I still hold that true on this show. We're going to take a look at how a movie's doing 20 minutes in and see if we can check off all 3 of those categories. So we've been introduced to all the characters in the house, and we know how they're being blackmailed, but we haven't seen anyone murdered yet, and nor have we seen the comical murder weapons that we've been promised in the movie trailer. So characters, yes. Story, yes. But have we experienced the plot turn of someone dead yet? No! That pisses me off. Someone get fucking killed already. I mean, at some point we're gonna have to figure out who Mr. Body is, right?
Oh, hadn't you guessed? He's the one who's blackmailing you all.
Oh! 24 minutes, 1 second. Maybe stop it with the soup slurping and get on with the story. And so we find out that Mr. Body is the one blackmailing them all. But Wadsworth ended up calling the police, who will be there within the hour. All they need to do is confess that he's the one blackmailing them and he'll be put away. But Mr. Body has something else in mind.
Open them.
Why not? I enjoy getting presents from strange men.
And we have violent murder weapons. Mr. Body decides to give each of them a violent weapon, including a rope, a candlestick, a wrench, a lead pipe, a revolver, and a knife. Mr. Body tells them that they each hold a violent weapon in their hands. If they go to the police and explain that they're being blackmailed, they will be humiliated themselves. But if one of them were to kill Wadsworth, then nobody has to know anything. And then Mr. Body turns off the lights. Oh, fucking hell. While they're in the dark, we hear a weird thumping noise, we hear some dude get hit by the lead pipe, we hear somebody go, ugh, and then we hear the revolver go off. And then Mrs. Peacock turn the lights back on. And Mr. Body's the one that ended up dead on the ground and not Wadsworth, leaving everybody confused who's the one who killed him, because there was a gunshot, but there's no gunshot wound on him.
Nobody! Look, there's no gunshot wound!
Everyone just stands around utterly confused, and then Mrs. Peacock does her best impression of somebody who would actually react in this situation. She screams like a fucking idiot.
Mrs. Peacock, it's all right. It's all right. We don't know.
And then Yvette does the exact same thing. They all make their way back to the lounge, where it's revealed that Wadsworth was the one who invited them by sending them all the letters because he wanted them to confront Mr. Body, because Mr. Body apparently killed his wife or something, and that Mr. Wadsworth's wife was a capitalist, and things are... Some shit goes down. Finally, the true plot of the movie comes out, is that Mr. Body was murdered by one of the 6 party guests, or one of the 18 other people in the house, and that they need to figure out who did it.
But how can we possibly find out which of you did it?
What do you mean, which of you did it?
Well, I didn't do it.
Or, as Tim Curry oh so nonchalantly explains to the audience for us,
We're trying to find out who killed him, and where, and with what.
as the movie goes on, they decide to split up and search the house, because apparently somebody else has been killing this cop, this motorist, the cook, Yvette, and also this random singing telegram girl.
I am your singing telegram.
In fact, the way you look at it, there's almost the exact number of bodies piled up as there is party guests. Regardless, tons of hilarity ensues, with a ton of slapstick. Just how many? Let's take a look!
Wadsworth, am I right in thinking there is nobody else in this house?
No.
Then there is someone else in this house.
No, sorry. I said no, meaning yes.
No meaning yes? Look, I want a straight answer. Is there someone else or isn't there? Yes? No. I'm shut. I told you there isn't. There isn't any confusion or there isn't anybody else.
Either. Or both.
Please!
Just give me a clear answer.
Certainly.
What was the question?
Is there anybody else in the house?
No!
Don't you touch me!
Claw, pretending to be dead. I hate to say that I... Next, Hot Wheel.
Would anyone care for fruit or dessert?
Now this is where I'm going to stop recapping what's happening in the movie, because the ending is so awesome I don't want to tell you about it. But it actually has 3 different endings. In fact, when this movie was released in theaters, each cinema would play the 3 different movies in 3 different theaters without labeling them. So when you bought a ticket, you're not sure which version of the movie you're seeing with what ending. It was genius. It left the movie open to so many freaking questions as you're going along, because you were left until literally the last second to figure out who's the person who did it. Or persons. Spoiler alert. In fact, if you buy the DVD version of the film like I did, you can choose to watch all 3 endings one after another, or you can let the DVD randomly select one of the 3 endings. One of them is more so the true ending of the film, but the other 2 are just as feasible. And that's Clue, one of the best murder mystery films you'll ever see. And now the real question: why the fuck do I like this movie so much if I just made fun of it quite a lot? It's got a great cast of comedy actors, some still in their prime even, playing strangely likable, but also terrible human beings. The sex jokes take a minute to get, but you end up laughing and shaking your head the way you would at a bad pun. And the fact that there's 3 endings makes anything possible during the story, and literally guessing who done it until the very last minute. It could have been a straight up parody of murder mysteries by using the characters and devices in the board game as a joke, but it embraces that the board game even had a plot and uses that as an advantage to make you laugh before even coming into the theater. It's hilarious, it's violent, there's tons of sex jokes, and to me, it has the practical effect. I'm Tyler Mann, and let's go kill some people. I'm not gonna make that my sign-off phrase.
Flames. On the side of my face. Heaving breaths.